Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Sophia who lived in Moscow. When Sophia was just 6 years old, her father Ravagin was arrested by the Soviet intelligence service. Sophia was unaware of why her father had been arrested. It had only been a year since Stalin died, and people had begun to be blacklisted. But none of this made sense to Sophia. She only thought about the game she would play with her friend Nastasia in Red Square, and of course, the dog she always dreamed of, Snuffle. She had seen a dog in a foreign magazine. It was impossible to see such a sweet-faced dog in the streets of Moscow. But this adorable creature with silky brown fur, long ears, and a collar made of jewelry that even her mother didn't have around her neck never left her mind. Sophia's mother, unaware of which prison her husband was being held in or under what conditions, struggled with worry and, of course, poverty. When they heard rumors that houses would be raided, there was nothing to do but get rid of everything meaningful or meaningless in the house. She opened the lid of the iron stove they used to heat the house and started throwing all the foreign magazines inside. Oh, poor Sophia. Her eyes immediately caught the magazine with the dog on it. She begged her mother, asking to tear out at least that page and give it to her. But her mother, not knowing what tomorrow would bring, didn't hesitate to throw the entire magazine into the fire without thinking about her daughter's broken heart. Asterisk broken heart. In Red Square, Stalin supporters were gathered. In the area where Sophia used to play, amidst the chanting crowds, a little puppy caught her eye. Months had passed since the magazine burned, and even though this puppy didn't have Snuffle's silky fur, its sweet face, big round eyes, and tiny legs that struggled to even take a step captured her attention. She immediately tucked the little puppy inside her coat and ran home. Even though she knew what her mother might say, it was worth trying. She had nothing to lose. When her mother saw Sophia and the puppy, she didn't have the heart to make her daughter suffer. She allowed them to live together. Sophia was now a happy child, safe with Snuffle. They played games, read books, and danced together. Snuffle was a bit of a naughty dog. There was a whole world outside, and he was curious about it. Sometimes when Sophia got lost staring at the candies in the candy shop window, Snuffle would sneak away and run off into the side streets on an adventure. Sometimes he would get roughed up by another dog or stoned by mischievous boys, but he would always return to Sophia's side. 3 whole years had passed. No one still knew where Sophia's father was. Snuffle, on the other hand, had become more curious and mischievous than ever. The streets of Moscow, Red Square, the grand cathedrals whose names he didn't even know. His tiny nose was incredibly good at sniffing out the scent of adventure. If a fish jumped in the Moscow River, Snuffle would dive in without caring about the cold, only to spend the next week sick in bed. You've probably already realized this is a sad story, so I won't drag it out too much. One day, Snuffle didn't come back. A week passed, he still didn't come back. 10 days went by, he didn't come back. Red Square echoed with the voice of a little girl. Snuffle had followed the smoke of the chestnut cellar in front of the massive cathedral of Christ the Savior and gotten lost. The streets were no longer familiar. He was hungry, cold, and most importantly worried about Sophia. She would sleep in late without him, and her mother would scold her. Who would protect her from the bullies at school? Who would love her? He found a piece of cardboard under a bridge, lay on it, and thought of Sophia. How worried she must be. How sad she must feel. When he returned, he was determined never to step outside the market road again. A few hours later, when he slightly opened his eyes, he saw a young man with glasses looking at him. The man pulled out a piece of dried meat from his pocket and offered it to Snuffle. At first, Snuffle hesitated, but the delicious smell of the dried meat was too tempting. With his tiny mouth, he grabbed the meat and swallowed it. The man with the glasses picked Snuffle up and carried him away through the narrow streets near the cathedral.